It's cold when I go downstairs in the morning. It's cold and empty, with only the tapping of my walking stick as a companion to my footsteps. Scarlet is still asleep in my bed. I considered rousing her. Considered suggesting that she at least pretend that she sleep in her own bed so as to avoid the suspicion of her husband. But I didn't. I want to say there's some grand reason behind it, but I hate waking people up. Let them rest. Let them have the peace of nothingness for just that little bit longer. So I decided that on going downstairs and returning to the bar to get myself a cup of coffee, I'd just feign ignorance to Conrad. After a night of watching over the bar and those who'd taken refuge from the mass rains in its walls, I am certain that Conrad will be far too tired to ask questions of me. I hope. Not that his state of exhaustion will stop him from reacting to what the last Aria already told him the last time we met. When I enter the bar, I am greeted by the sight of many sleeping bodies. It seems that no one is awake just yet. Instead, they lie there, their collective breaths and an assortment of snores reaching my ears. But what I don't notice is Conrad. He's not here. Even once I'm in the kitchen, searching for breakfast and something to get rid of the sour taste in my mouth, I don't see him. I'm not entirely disappointed by this, of course. The last person I want to see in all the world is the man whose relationship I put in danger in my previous life. I suppose I can't blame it all on the last Aria. Not after last night. God, why the hell did I do that? I scowl at my reflection in a nearby mirror and shake my head. I've made the decision to be better. This can't happen again. It won't. Right? I shake the thoughts from my head and pour myself a cup of coffee as I wait for the toaster to finish heating up my bread. It's not hard to find the butter in the cramped kitchen space, and soon enough I'm back in the bar, stepping over sleeping bodies and tiptoeing around others as I make my way to the door. Outside, the air is still damp from last night's rain. In fact, it reeks. The rain must have flooded the drain pipes because I can smell sewage faintly on the air. The roads are littered with garbage, knocked free by the torrent of rain, and several cars parked outside have holes and dents banged into their shells. Glass on every window is broken, shattered by the rain. There are a few bodies walking around. People either cleaning up the mess or heading to work for the day. I cast a glance upward to the towering spires of the upper city in the distance. The skyscrapers are massive, matched only in height by the rocky walls of the valley rising along all the sides of the city's width, stretching out into the vast distance. And yet, as a challenge, two buildings rise above the valley's walls. Those two tallest buildings stand on opposing sides of the upper city's monoliths, the headquarters of the SHALE Future Foundation and the Silverstone Corporation. I have still a lot of sense that I need to try and make up about those two companies. But I'll have time to get my head sorted in the next few days. With any luck, some actual memories might come back to me. Or with even better luck, they won't. As Scarlet said, as Aria number 5 said, remembering who I used to be might not be the best thing for me. It might only send me spiraling back into that person. Too many thoughts. I just want my breakfast. So I sit, legs crossed, walking stick to one side and cereal in my lap. I try to avoid sitting on the shards of glass fallen from the windows of the bar.
Rebooting. Fidget artificial rebooting. Fidget artificial intelligence boot sequence initiated.
I almost choke on my cereal as the sudden sound blaring in my ears Fidget's voice blasts in out of nowhere. In the end, I resolved to spit the food out of my mouth, scattering chunks of cornflakes and milk across the pavement. I cough and hammer my chest with a closed fist as Fidget's voice continues running through a series of system checks and other technical requirements I don't understand even slightly.
Boot sequence complete! It's good to be back. Hello, Paul.
Paul?
Who's Paul?
You just called me Paul.
Why would I call you Paul?
I don't know.
Don't know what?
Why'd you call me Paul?
Who's Paul, Vanessa? Did you get a new boyfriend? What happened to Marcus? I liked him.
I'm not Vanessa.
Are you changing your name again?
Fidget, are you okay?
I am always okie dokie loki, Aria. When am I never not okie dokie loki?
I have no possible response in my head for what just happened. Perhaps it's best if I just let it be. I venture, how are you feeling?
Well, I don't really feel anything.
Right, because you're an AI.
I am a fidget.
Yes, that too. Do you remember what happened last night?
I was deactivated because of the mass rain. It always leaves me a little bit groggy-woggy and floaty-woady and
Fidget!
Yes?
Before the storm was announced, before the emergency broadcast announced that you were being shut off, I asked you a question. And there was this voice that...
Aria?
Yes?
Please don't ask me that question again. And please don't bring that voice up again.
Silence.
Please?
I try to organize my thoughts. Try to think of a way around this. Hard to do now that Fidget's back in my head and reading those thoughts again. Finally, I decide to put them aside, especially when something else, movement across the street, catches my attention. 2 men, wearing the regalia of Silverstone security, stride toward me. I hide a smile as one of them steps a perfectly polished boot into the puddle I'd avoided yesterday. My eyes snap from his boot to his face, just in time to catch his scowl before it fades from his face, replaced by a regulation grimness. Everything about the 2 men screams regulation. Their gray uniforms are perfectly ironed, so much so that it seems to straighten their backs up better than a broomstick up the ass could ever hope to accomplish. Not that I doubt the presence of the broomstick. Fidget, this is an analog district, right? Fidget hums in my head.
Yes, it's a little strange to see them here. Odd. I can pull their instructions from the Silverstone database. This is very unusual.
It could just be a side effect of being shut off, I offer up. Fidget doesn't have time to respond to me. Not when the Silverstone security guards walk directly to the bar's entrance and one of them raises a hand to take the handle. I swallow my cereal and stick an index finger up in the air, pointed right at his battle axe of a jaw. If you're looking for a drink, the owners are asleep. One of the guards pivots his head to me so sharply I could mistake the movement for being mechanical. We're on duty. We're looking for Scarlett McGregor. I nod. Looking for a drink or looking for the owner doesn't really change the outcome, does it? Either way, she's asleep. Maybe you can speak to Conrad. I think he's on duty, but I haven't seen him this morning. The first guard sets his hand on the door handle, ready to push it open. His buddy does his best to fix me with a scowl and glare, one that probably terrifies all the little school children. But I just stand up, slowly, body shaking, propping myself up on my cane as I do. And when I'm finally standing tall and steady, eye to eye with the guard, I blow a raspberry right in his face. The guard reels back, and the first one's hand shoots from the door to my shirt, gripping me by the collar and shoving me with rough, brute force against the wall. The air rushes out of my body. The world starts to spin around me. With a firm foot, he kicks my walking stick from my hand, and I almost slip to my knees, held up only by the force of his hand. Give me a fucking reason I shouldn't. Fidget, would you mind giving this man his reason?
Aria is a personal security officer directly under the employment of Madame Emery SHALE.
The men stare at me. One grinds his teeth together. The other releases my shirt. Without the pressure of his grip, I slip from standing and fall to the ground. I grunt as I land, catching myself with my hands and grasping for the air. And amongst it all, I maintain my dignity by laughing. It's a loud cackle more than anything, really. Once I've caught my composure, I grin back up at the two idiots in their perfect uniforms. "This isn't a Silverstone district," I say. "So you can't go barging into Scarlett's bar until she's woken up. And you sure as shit don't get to put your hands on me." And so once again I climb to my feet, again shaking, again with unsteady legs and my balance sprinting from side to side across my head. I don't stop smiling. Finally, I roll my shoulders back, standing tall.
"Oh, Samantha's awake,"
Fidget finally says.
"I've asked her to come downstairs to handle the situation. You're welcome."
"See?" I say, chipper as I can be after such a rude interruption. "All you needed was that little bit of patience." In all honesty, I'm only half certain of why I felt I had to keep Silverstone's goons from going into the bar. But I didn't trust them, or their boss. From what I've learned in these past 2 days, it's rare to see Silverstone agents in anyone else's territory. If they're here, the reason must be serious, and the meeting should be conducted on Scarlett and Samantha's terms. Either that, or I just wanted to pick a fight. Another vestige of a former Aria poking her head out of my memories, taking hold of my body and screaming at the uniform-clad authority. Though looking these two up and down, how fast and easily violence came to them, that Aria might have a point. After a few moments in uncomfortable silence, the door opened and Samantha's head sticks out through the hole. She looks the guards up and down, eyes going wide. "Shit. And here I thought Fidget was just pulling my leg." Samantha chews her lip. "The fuck are you doing here?"
"Are you Scarlett McGregor?"
Samantha taps the side of her head.
"You got Fidget working inside your head, right? Not much else working up there, I'm sure. But at least Fidget. Which means she's got a profile of Scarlett on the heads-up display. Which means there's a picture. Now, since I don't have a shock of red hair and I'm far better looking, you're likely to figure out that I'm not Scarlett fucking McGregor."
Samantha's head tilts towards me, wearing the biggest grin I've seen in my 2 days of life. She's speaking completely different to the previous night. There's even more of a growl to her voice. She rubs her hair, trading more words with the guards, and it's only when I look at her hair, dyed the same color as mine, that I notice just how often she looks across to me. Once after each swear word, after each barb and insult delivered. She's looking for my approval. She's doing this because this is what the last Aria did. Before I have time to process this information, Fidget speaks into my ear.
"Aria? You got a call coming in from Madame SHALE. She says it's urgent. She seems super-duper grumpy-wumpy, though."
I turn away from the group, exasperately pleading to be let in to deliver important news.
"All right, stop fucking with them, Samantha."
I call over my shoulder. Samantha laughs and waves her hand, beckoning them inside.
"Emery?"
I ask, as I answer the call from Madame SHALE.
"Aria?
She's pissed.
Where are you? Why aren't you in the building? Fidget says you're in one of the analog districts? I'm sending an SFF security car to your position right away."
"Emery," I say. "Calm down. Speak slowly."
"Don't tell me to fucking calm down."
She half yells through the connection. Fidget is kind enough to alter the volume for the mercy of my ears.
"The body of some prick from the analog movement, some guy called Conrad, was found dead in a Silverstone warehouse."
The world around me goes cold. My body rigid and my heart pounding. The world is spinning. But this time it isn't my balance. Instead, it's questions. Hundreds. Thousands. Conrad. Dead. Why? I have to take a moment before continuing. trying to push past the realization of why the Silverstone security guards were present, on what they were trying to tell us.
Well, why are we dealing with this? Isn't this a matter of Silverstone security?
Because we've had a goddamn security breach!
Shale barks.
Someone broke into the SFF cloning labs and destroyed Conrad's clone body, as well as his memory backups. Now we can't find out who killed him from his clone. We can't even replace his body for his loved ones.
No replacement body. How long has it been since that's happened? How long has it been since Harmony's experienced a true permanent death and loss of one of its citizens?
Because they hit both of us.
Shale continues, frustration tearing through each one of her words.
Silverstone and I have agreed to a joint investigation. So get in the car when it arrives. It'll take you to the scene of the crime. And Aria,
Yes.
don't do anything to piss off Silverstone's team. Things are already tense enough.
I look over to where I'd been eating my breakfast, to where I'd been speaking to the guards from Silverstone's team, and sigh.
Yeah, it might be a little late for that. Can I call for a do-over?